Hey everyone, today in this video, I'm going to be checking out the Tineco Floor 1 Switch S7. Tineco did send me the sample, but any opinion expressed in this video is strictly my own. That being said, if you're interested in this product or you want to find out more about it, the link to it will be in the video description. Setup simple and straightforward. First thing we have to do on the wet dry vac is just attach the handle. It's only going to fit one way, so make sure you line it up properly. But this little piece right here, that's going to be at the back of the unit, because if you ever have to remove the handle, that's what you're going to press in to release it. So on the back right there, just line everything up like you see right here and just gently press into place. And then you hear it snap. There we go. We now have it fully set up and the handle has been installed on our unit. So take a look at that. The wet dry vac is ready to go. Let's finish up the cordless vac. For the cordless vacuum cleaner, it's as simple as picking and choosing the accessories you want to use at the time of cleaning. So in this case, if we want to assemble everything here, we'll just attach the main power brush roller here with the body as well as with the head of the vacuum. And now our vacuum has fully been assembled. At this step though, you want to remove the cover you see right here, and then you would swap in the motor and battery so you can actually use the vacuum. So here's that motor and battery. Just line it up and it snaps right in place, and now your vacuum cleaner's all set and ready to go. When you're done vacuuming, it's really convenient to just store the whole vacuum on the charging base and cleaning station just like this. At this stage, we also have the transparent plate that we can install. So we have two notches right here that are going to line up with the cleaning station. So just gently press those in place, and then the rest of it just snaps right in, and we have this little locking mechanism right here. So now we have it locked, and that's all ready to go. We can charge everything up now and try it out.
Auto mode. Mass mode. Suction mode.
After our first clean and wash, everything still looks new. I'm not seeing any water or really any residue buildup or anything like that. Maybe a little bit of some dried on, I don't even know what it is, off on the side right there. But everything looks spotless still. It's hard to believe that it cleaned and washed itself and dried itself right here. All right, we just finished our first clean. Let's look at the real world results from around my house. So first up, we'll look at the main brush roller. We'll check it for tangles. Not bad. We have a little thread right here, but that wasn't even tangled on there. I do see a couple of human hairs on this side that we can break away. But not bad at all. I was expecting more tangles, to be honest, there. And looking at it from the front, we do have really fine dirt and dust particles collecting up at the top of the cover right here. So you do know that it's really agitating everything up and off the floor. But that held up great. Next, we have our mini brush right here. This has more tangles on it. So take a look at that. We got a lot of human hair right there, still wrapped around that brush. As expected, with those longer bristles, they really just attract a lot of hair and fibers and fuzz. Same thing looking at the cover here, not as agitated with dirt and dust on the inside like the main brush roller, but I see a little bit here and there. Now let's look at the dustbin. The vacuum got fairly full right here. That's so gross to see it all caked in there. And then we have some falling out of the main tube right there. Let's go ahead. Let's see what we got. All right, here we go. Oh, a ton of hair. A lot of hair in there. And then that really fine dirt and dust is trapped in the filter, which is great. You want to see that. So look at how disgusting that is. Jam-packed full of tons of really fine dust and dirt. Obviously, our typical household crumbs, grass clippings, Cheerios, food. You get the idea there. So larger objects, as well as the really fine dirt and dust, it isn't going to be exhausted back out in your air. It's actually trapping it and putting it in the dustbin so you can get it out of your house. And there's an inside look if you wanted to see with the contents removed. Your typical dust around the perimeter and a little bit of buildup around those areas too. Now here's a look at our dirty water tank. Filter looks good. Nothing there. Let's gently remove this. On the inside, I do see some debris here collecting. And now let's look at the dirty water and we'll pour it out. That's gross. And then maybe if you can tell, the very bottom, we do have some larger residue built up that settled down there. And it's still in there along the bottom right here. It's going to be hard to tell, but you want to make sure that you wash and rinse this out after every use. Also, learn from my experience, do not forget about emptying the dirty water tank. Even after just like a day or two, this thing can get really, really smelly. And here's a look at the main brush roller, cleaned and dried. We'll rotate it around. So you can see everything looks as good as new still after our first clean. It's still a little bit damp to the touch, but it's not bad at all. And then looking at the cover removed, we have some moisture on the inside right there that we could wipe away. And that's going to be about as damp as you would expect this to be after the cleaning and the drying. So everything looks really, really good. A little bit of water right there that we could wipe away, but not bad at all. It does a really good job cleaning itself. And just a decent job drying. I'd like it to be a little bit better than even what it is here. So how does it stack up against the competition? First, we're going to be looking at the cordless vacuum side of things, and we'll be going over its spec versus the average that we've tested. Then we'll be doing the exact same thing for the wet dry portion. So first up for the vacuum, battery life measured in minutes, 65-minute runtime compared to your typical cordless vac coming in right around 52 minutes. Then we have our bin capacity. This is measured in milliliters. Tineco doesn't publish the bin capacity of this particular model, but from just eyeballing it, it's going to be right around the average. It's not going to be really any bigger or larger. It doesn't appear to have any compromises, so you could expect very close to the average size of 0.5 milliliters. Next, we have rated power measured in watts, 250 watts of rated power for the vacuum compared to 350 watts for your typical cordless vac. Now, the good news here, in the real world, there doesn't appear to be any noticeable difference in performance. And I say that because when looking at things like max CFM, which we record in-house, we have a score of 36, which is actually 3 points above the typical average of 33. And when looking at things like our deep clean, where we embed coffee grounds in the carpet and measure before and after, you'll see that it performs better than the average again. Next up, we have decibels. With this value, the higher it is, the louder your vacuum's going to be. So in this case, we always measure it vacuuming carpets on max suction settings. So we peaked at 89 decibels compared to the average of 86. There's going to be no noticeable difference having an 86 decibel cordless vac running alongside the 89 decibel vac. Bonus points for this category, it does come equipped with LED lights. You'll see about 68% of the cordless vacuum cleaners that we personally tested have that feature, so a little bit more than half. And in this case, we landed on the right side where we have LED lights. It's great to have those lights illuminating the floor so you can really see where you're vacuuming. In regards to weight, this is measured in pounds. This unit comes in at 6.8 pounds. Definitely feels a little bit on the heavier side. That's because we got the whole motor and battery integrated together that you swap between the devices, where your typical cordless vac is going to come in right about 5 pounds. Lastly, now this cost is going to be just your typical cordless vac, and those don't come with the wet dry functionality. So you'll notice that the switch is going to be a couple $100 more, but again, it's a cordless vacuum cleaner and it's a cordless wet dry vac, so that would be as expected. Now covering our wet dry vac portion, you'll notice that in regards to decibels for the wet dry vac, it peaks around 78 decibels, which is 1 decibel more than your typical wet dry vac. We just started measuring what we're calling in-use airflow. We'll see over time as we build up this database how useful this information is and what sort of patterns we can glean from it. But currently in FPM, the switch register 384 compared to the average of 406. Same with in-use suction. We just started to measure this as well. So the switch recorded the highest value we've ever seen at 2.41 compared to your typical average of 1.42. What I'm seeing so far is typically you'll want the higher the better in both of these categories to hopefully mean that we're actually getting a better, deeper clean on our floors. Next, we have our rated power measured in watts, 290 watt rated power compared to the average wet dry vac of 300 watts. Moving right along to battery life measured in minutes, 40-minute runtime compared to your typical wet dry vac of 36 minutes, netting us an extra 4 minutes of cleaning. Those extra 4 minutes are made possible in part by the large 4,000 milliamp hour battery. That's going to be 300 milliamp hours more than your typical wet dry vac. Now, Tineco does publish the clean and dirty water tank capacities in milliliters. So for this unit, 850 milliliter clean water tank, that's going to be above average, which is great to see on a device like this. And same can be said for the dirty water tank, 720 milliliters compared to your average of 650. Next, we're going to cover a couple premium features that are usually found on high-end wet dry vacs, which is true in this case for our switch. So it does have hot water self-clean, and the temp is 158 degrees Fahrenheit hot water clean. Only one other wet dry vac that we've covered also supports hot water self-cleaning, and that also is within Tineco's lineup. and it also has 158-degree hot water cleaning. And same thing can be said for the hot air drying, also 158 degrees Fahrenheit. We've only seen it on one other Tineco unit. So this is a top-of-the-line premium feature that's starting to trickle into this space, and it's great to see that the S7 already adopts it. I also want to mention at this point, if you're wondering what the difference between the Switch S7 and the Combo S7, well, this is it. It's how the station cleans and dries, and the temperatures that you get with this unit that you don't get on the other one. Next, let's talk about edge cleaning. How many sides, if any, of the wet dry vac are able to get up and close and personal to your edge? In this case, both of them support edge cleaning. It's got that dual edge, where your typical wet dry vac will have one side to be able to do that, but most don't have two. You'll find that most have one, some still have none, but most are starting to get at least one side up and close to the edge, where you'll start to see more and more in the future continue to offer dual edge cleaning. Next, still a clutch feature in my opinion, is the LED light. This is equipped with a nice LED light on the front so it can illuminate the floor for you. In our findings, about only 20% of wet dry vacs have LEDs, and we're not really sure why. This should be an essential feature for all of them if they're able. Another feature is self-propel. We're just starting to see this on the high-end models like our S7 here. So basically you can push it forward or backwards and it will drive itself under its own power to match what you're doing in the direction that you're going. It's a nice assist. And if you're using this all the time and you're cleaning day in and day out, it'll help prevent some fatiguing for you as well. So out of all the units we've tested, the only other one that has it is, you guessed it, the other S7 combo unit. And last but not least, just like what we looked at with the cordless vacuum cleaner option, we're gonna see how it stacks up in regards to other wet dry vacs. This costs a couple $100 more, but again, you're getting a dedicated cordless vacuum cleaner and a dedicated wet dry vacuum cleaner. So if that's important to you, it's bundled together. So realistically, you should expect to pay more because you're buying a vacuum and a wet dry vac as opposed to just a wet dry vac. Where does that leave us in regards to the Tineco Switch S7? Well, let me share with you my final thoughts. It's a welcome addition to have the hot air drying as well as the hot water washing. Those are clutch features that I can't wait to see on more Tineco products. If you prefer your units bundled together, this is going to be the way to go. For me personally, I still prefer to have a dedicated cordless vacuum cleaner and a dedicated wet dry vac where I don't have to swap the battery, because that's the downfall in the system. If you want to use both, you're limited to how much runtime you can get out of that single battery between the two devices. Whereas if you bought them separately, a nice comparable Tineco cordless vacuum cleaner and maybe the S7 itself or an S5, whatever your budget allows for, you'll definitely be able to mix and match in their lineup to get a dedicated standalone cordless vacuum cleaner and a dedicated standalone wet dry vac at or below what it costs to get the Switch S7. So for me personally, I'd rather have two individual devices that don't rely on a shared battery so I can make sure I can maximize my cleaning potential each and every time. But I know this exists for a certain segment of the audience and shoppers out there that like to have everything bundled together. So if that's you, this is going to be the top of the line bundle that you can get. A great cordless vacuum cleaner and a top of the line wet dry vac with some fantastic features. The self-propel, the hot water washing, the hot air drying, and a nice display to see everything. It's really, really going to give you nice and clean floors.